Good morning, everybody. It is arm day, so today's, as far as I can tell so far, it's going to be a pretty burny arm day. We're going to do 3 bicep exercises, 3 tricep exercises, very little rest between, just to build up a lot of volume in a short amount of time. Good for the smaller muscle groups. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to do 45 seconds of each exercise. Like I said, as little rest as possible, just sort of that transition to the next weight sort of rest between sets. I'm going to do as many reps as good reps as possible in that 45 seconds, especially in the first 2 movements. I'm not going to rush through them. I'm just going to still work at my sort of regular pace. The last one, we're going to use a little less weight or resistance so you can work a little bit faster without risk of injury, right? But we're still going to try and keep the form relatively strict, even though we're working in a timed situation. All right, so we are going to go 45 seconds. We're going to start with a reverse curl. So you want to less weight than you would use for a regular bicep curl. You're going to start with your palms facing backwards. Still a nice tight lower body. Going to come up, control the way down. So working a little bit of grip, a little bit of wrist strength, forearm strength. For those of you that have had elbow issues, as long as those are resolved, this can help work out some of those elbow strength, tennis elbow, golf elbow sort of injuries. You gotta make sure you have a healthy elbow first, right? You want to keep the shoulders back and down, as always. Elbows stay back and nice and controlled on the way back down. So you're going to go 45 seconds reverse curl. You're going to pick up a slightly heavier weight or add more resistance, and you're going to go 45 seconds of hammer curl. That just means a neutral grip, right? Again, locking in the lower body. You could do these first 2 movements seated if you want. Obviously, it requires a little bit more core. You're going to do it standing, but it also gives you the ability to swing, which you don't want to do, especially as these start to get to be work towards the end of the 45 seconds. Again, staying in control of the movement, right? Thinking about where you're trying to get a full range of motion. So all the way up as far as that bicep allows you, and then down, squeezing at the bottom. Last exercise that we're going to do for 45 seconds of a banded bicep curl. So find a band where you can probably still work through the 45 seconds. Oh boy, this is going to be a tough one. There's definitely a little fatigue, right? You go a little bit faster on this one, but try not to add any of that momentum, right? Try not to add any swing. The glutes are still locked underneath, shoulders are still back and down, elbows are still back. Right, we're trying to stay working for all 45 seconds. Gets to burn pretty bad. And you may lose some of the range of motion, so it may get really hard to squeeze all the way up to the top and hard to pull out of the bottom. Do what you can on the last 45 seconds. It's a long 45 seconds. Okay, so now we're going to go to the tricep movements. And nobody thought they were going to get out of this without some sort of push-up this week. So we're going to do a tricep push-up. One of the harder push-up variations, especially if you're being super strict about it. I'm going to do a couple of variations. I'm going to show you a couple of variations. You probably won't get many done, especially if you're doing them sort of slow and controlled in 45 seconds. You're going to create a diamond shape with your fingers. And then you're going to set up, chest still over the wrist, right? Your hands are just narrower than they would be in a regular push-up. But that elbow pit still rotates forward. You still screw those hands down into the ground. Shoulder blades still come back. You're going to come as low as you can. Push up. Elbows stay in close to the body. Great. If that variation, which is pretty challenging, is not your thing, try it off the back of the calf. Still create the diamond, still get that rotation like you're locking those shoulders down. Chest is still going to come down. And push back. Keep the body in one nice straight line. And you get those triceps working. Second exercise that we're going to do is going to be an overhead tricep extension. I'm going to use 2 dumbbells. You could use the band set up low. You could use one heavier dumbbell. Because I'm using 2 light dumbbells, I'm going to have to sort of squeeze them together to make them as if there's one dumbbell. And you're going to squeeze up to the top. Again, keeping those hips underneath you, right? No swaying with that lower body. Try and keep the rib cage relatively still. Shoulders are still down the back, so if you need to reset at the top. And just like last week on that overhead variation, right? You want to try and come down as far as possible so you get that maximum stretch at the bottom of the movement, right? So you want to be as far over to that, get as much length all the way through here. So you're really working that long head of the tricep. Okay, last but not least, 45 seconds of a tricep pushdown. The band works great for this. You could obviously do a skull crusher, you could do a kickback. Just keep the form strict and watch the shoulders. So last 45 seconds. Again, just like with the band on the last one, you move a little bit faster. But get that squeeze to the bottom. So you feel that tricep kick in. And then just try and work for all 45 seconds, just like last time. All of this adds up and should be pretty by the end of the set. All right, so 45 seconds on, 6 exercises. You know, you'll have that 3-4 seconds, the way you transition weight or whatever. Try and stick with it and try and work all the way through the sets. Enjoy the burn. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.